got to be respected.
And that game will be heard here on the Cave, 96.5 FM. The decision on if Michigan State will play at Maryland will come today. The Terrapins at 2-1 have been dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak, did not practice Wednesday, and will make the call today if Saturday's game against the Spartans will even happen. And the big news for high school sports fans came yesterday. The MHSAA announcing the calendar for sports after this 3-week pause during the pandemic. First, football, 11-player regional finals. That would be for Clinton and Sand Creek. And 8-player semifinals, that's Lenawee Christian, would be played on Tuesday the 15th and Wednesday the 16th. In addition, 11-player semifinals, 8-player finals will be the following week, December 21st. And now for volleyball, quarterfinals in all 4 divisions will be played Tuesday the 15th, and semifinals the 17th, 18th, the finals on the 19th. Now swimming and diving, Tecumseh, you still have some qualifiers competing. The finals would be conducted Tuesday the 22nd for diving, and Wednesday the 23rd, that would be for swimming. Clinton Redskins' last-second win over Blissfield last Friday for district title sends them to the regionals in a few weeks. We talked to Redskins coach Jeremy Fielder. Does it get much more exciting?
No, it doesn't. Especially considering the circumstances of having lost to them earlier in the year and players working hard to kind of earn that opportunity and then believing in game plan and what we had to do to win, and then see the kids execute in some pretty adverse situations at the end of the game. That was just so fantastic to see, and just so happy for those guys and for our coaches too.
We asked Coach what it was like on the sideline leading up to the kick by Jonathan Balke.
I don't know. I was just really more concerned about the clock management at that point. I know leading up to that, I saw him warming up, and then one of the coaches asked on the sideline, "He warmed up?" And I turned around and said, "You warmed?" And he had already been kicking. So I think he was just good to go. And, Jonathan worked so hard at his craft. Just so happy for him. And the rest of our guys, he had a great opportunity, and he made good on it.
And before our interview was over, Coach Fielder with a big tip of the cap to Von Estes and the Royals.
I'd be remiss if I didn't show some respect to Blissfield. They've just been outstanding over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. Coach Estes and his staff, they just do a phenomenal job. And Gamma Ganon is such a competitor. I will not miss him at all. He's a great kid, and I love watching him, but not when he's on the opposite sideline. And Horky and Wyman, they had phenomenal group. So I really just want to give credit to them too, because they're tough, and it's difficult to lose in those circumstances too. So definitely thinking about those guys as well.
And Clinton will play the next round at Warren Collegiate, a team coach says with speed all over the field.
What a class coach.
That's right. You couldn't ask for 2 better matchups.
Absolutely.
And 2 better games for the Lenawee County schools. We previewed it accurately, Pat. We said these are going to be great games. They could go either way. And both our picks were wrong, and we're not surprised.
Yep.
We're not surprised.
We only were 1 of 3, I think.
Yeah, we got Lenawee Christian right.
Boy.
And that was with the help of social media.
Yeah.
Adrian College, they announced that their matchup against Bowling Green Falcons still on Saturday at the Arrington, but with no fans. Coach Krug's team fell to BGSU a week ago 6-2, snapping a 15-game win streak for the Bulldogs men's team.
I thought we had a good effort against them last week at their place, but not great. I thought there was a feeling out process from our guys. It just kind of overtook us a little bit, and by the time we figured out we could play with them, it was too late. So I'm thrilled that we get a second shot at that program.
And that was AC men's hockey coach Adam Krug.
That would be an interesting game the second time around, now that they know what to expect.
Exactly, and we had him on the show yesterday on the phone, Coach Krug. That's the beauty about hockey, is that you get a lot of home and homes.
Yeah.
If you're a big football fan, you say, man, if we played them again, we could get them. Well, you do, and it'll be at home. So, keeping 2 eyes on that game. The big news yesterday in sports, professionally in Detroit, was the Pistons, believe it or not. New Pistons GM Troy Weaver was very aggressive on the NBA draft. Pistons landing 3 first-round selections in a flurry of trades, shaking up their roster with big-time young talent. So here we go. Pick number 7, they took 6'5" swingman Killian Hayes,
All right.
considered perhaps the most versatile point guard in the draft, and an amazing work ethic. He was born in the U.S. but played in France when he turned pro at the age of 16. He's now 19, perhaps the new face of the Pistons. A few picks later, with the 16th, they took center 6'9" Isaiah Stewart, who was a 5-star prospect in the class of 2019 recruiting class, a McDonald's All-American, almost went to Michigan State, but he went out west to Washington. And then the Pistons traded Luke Kennard to the Clippers for the number 19 pick. With that choice, Detroit took wing 6'8" Sadiq Bey, who solidified himself as one of the best small forwards in the country, while guiding Villanova a spot in the top 10, earning all Big East first-team honors. By a trade, Pistons also acquired Trevor Ariza, a solid forward who can knock down threes, spent time with Portland and Sacramento last year. Detroit has positioned themselves with a lot of money to spend on free agency as well.
Hey, we're making some moves here.
Yeah, we'll get to that, after the update. But if you're a Pistons fan, which I don't know how many of you are left,
Yeah, really.
how do you feel about what Detroit did? Pretty aggressive.
Very
I
aggressive.
mean, not as aggressive as some people were saying, like, we're going to trade up to number 2 and draft. No, they weren't stupid. That could have been stupid. The way they worked this draft, it's pretty cool.
Tom Gore is going to open the checkbook.
Yeah, we haven't seen that from the Pistons a lot the last few years, as being active on draft day.
No, they, very silent, as a matter of fact. Last couple, 3 years.
Yep, just sit in their spot, take their guy,
Mm-hmm.
go from there.
Yeah.
Very aggressive. For Michigan State, their tandem did get drafted. Xavier Tillman went to Memphis with the number 35 pick. Cassius Winston goes to Washington with the 53rd pick. A lot of
Wow.
people had him in the first round.
Yeah,
Cassius.
I would think so, yeah.
Not sure what happened there. He's one of only 2 players in Michigan State history to be a consensus All-American in more than one season, joining Mateen Cleaves. So Cassius going 53rd, Xavier going 35. Must be something people don't know about Cassius. He's not the tallest guy, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So, let's go through the max scores from yesterday. If you like points and you like yards, it was nice to see. Western Michigan holds off Central 52-44. Toledo over EMU 45-28. And Northern Illinois against Ball State 31-25.
They're not kidding when they say action.
That was so cool. It's been a while watching the Lions and watching Michigan State to see that many points. It was a relief.
Well, I'm a Chippewa alumnus. I was rooting for the Chips to come through there, but I tell you, it was a scoring machine by the Broncos.
Yeah, and we kind of knew that going in, is that they could put up points, and they do put up points. Central held their own.
Yeah, well, the week before, Western won on the last play of the ball game. It was a trick play.
Over Toledo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was cool. That was great. That's it for the update. That's all I have. I'll do it again at 8 o'clock here inside the cave.
All right. Don't forget our second hour of our broadcast today. We'll have John Borton from the Wolverine magazine. We'll be talking about Michigan football. And I know, Ian,
You hear me rubbing my hands together?
you've got some pretty pointed questions for him, I think, this week.
I think they'll be fair, and they won't be things he hasn't thought about or probably
heard.
answered or heard before.
Mhm.
You know, you can't turn on the TV and not hear something about Jim Harbaugh
That's for
in
sure.
the future.
Yep.
And I think there are two roads really that I think Michigan can take, and I think I know the one they will. I'll throw this out right now just to drop a nugget for our listeners. I think there are two roads you can take. One, sort of accept that that's what the program is and what they have been, which is a 3-loss, 2-loss, some years maybe a 4-loss team, and you keep Harbaugh. Because he'll get you that. He's good enough to get you that. Or you strive for more, being great. You think things are in place, we just need a different guy. And if you do that, you have the conversation quietly to just quietly sign the divorce papers, and he moves into an apartment. You guys get to keep the big house, and you just forget about it.
Ian, it's not going to happen.
Which one?
They're not going to get rid of Harbaugh.
So you think there's a third option? I mean, do you think he's the guy that can take them where they need to be?
I'm not sure whether he's the guy, but they're not going to get rid of him at the end of the year, is what I'm saying.
Well, it won't be a firing.
There's a lot of people that think that that's going to happen. A really good article by John Bacon, who is very close to the Michigan program. He writes a lot of books, and anyway, he had a pretty good perspective on it, and he said that Michigan would not fire Jim Harbaugh. It would be kind of a mutual thing,
Right.
if it came down to that, and it would probably be more on Harbaugh's side than it would be on the University of Michigan.
Yeah, it won't be a firing.
No.
No one is saying that.
No. Well, yeah, there are a lot of people that want.
Well, they're
would like
dumb.
to see him fired. Yeah.
They'll call it a firing. It's like, okay, you can quit, but we're gonna fire you, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. He's gonna have to say, you know what, it didn't work. You know, I'm either done coaching, or I'm going to the NFL, or I'm going to some obscure college somewhere else.
You know, he's not a quitter. He'll go back to the NFL if he does anything else. I believe.
Gosh. Thoughts and prayers to the NFL if he goes back there.
Well, he was successful in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, it's getting closer to a decade ago. Could you imagine? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but let's say Patricia and Quinn get canned. And,
Well, now that's an
and
absolute
Harbaugh
there.
wears
Yeah,
the-
he will get canned, I think.
and Harbaugh takes his khakis to Ford Field. Oh, man.
No, I don't think that'll happen either.
What? You don't think that'll happen? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. All right, hey, if you've got something to talk about sports-wise, give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. That's our number to call. We can also take your email at sports@965thecave.com. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we're live streaming this morning on YouTube. If you like to look in and see what
In the camera there.
we are missing one team, though.
That's right. Lenawee Christian, Adrian, Tecumseh, Sand Creek, Madison, Britton Deerfield, Morenci. Got your helmets there. We have a Morenci Clinton Patriots jersey as well, and a Sand Creek one right behind you, Pat. So
Yep,
pretty cool stuff.
very cool.
Pretty fun. And tried it yesterday, and we're going to do it again today. Then sort of take a break and maybe fire it back up next Wednesday.
Yep. Evaluate it, see how it went.
Right. See how many people we get watching it.
Yesterday you had quite a few.
Yeah, and if we get feedback one way or another, we will adjust accordingly. We can't help, if someone has less hair than you want them to have on the top of their head, we can't fix that. Sorry,
Hey,
Jeff
I
Bowman fans,
I
but
resemble that remark.
or you don't like the shirt I'm wearing. It's whatever. Deal with it.
Yeah, here we
We'll have
go.
to start dressing for TV. Yeah.
Michigan.
They're like, why are you wearing that today, Pat?
Well,
Gross.
once the basketball season is going to look up. Maybe we'll talk a little basketball with John Borden.
Well, he's going to want to. I'm not going to let it happen. I mean, what you did last week, bringing up basketball, was a travesty. That should tell you the state of Michigan football. If Pat is like, all right, basketball time. They used to be Michigan State for like decades.
Yeah.
You know what? Football, basketball, and I don't know how much of the show you caught yesterday, Pat, but
Very
it
little.
was, basically, show me something, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're Michigan or Michigan State, I posed the question to Sparty too. You scored 1 touchdown in 2 weekends. Show me something. The only thing I saw really was Michigan State played some defense in the second half. You knew Indiana was going to crush them,
Mm-hmm.
but they kept them off the board in the second half. Now show me something from Michigan. What? It's just a big shoulder shrug. Show me anything. Like if you can lose, that's whatever. But like maybe
But
be close.
lose close.
Show me something.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh boy. Hey, we got to take a break here. It's 20 minutes after the hour. We'll continue this discussion when we come back. You're inside the cave this morning. Give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Runaway Sports Line.
It's a Thursday morning. You're inside the cave with yours truly, Pat Hayes, along with Ian Wendt, about 7:30. If you have to be to work by 8 o'clock, you got about a half hour to get there. And Ian is already at work today.
I know, right?
You're here early.
As they say, bright and early. Well, I had to get the camera set up. I wasn't sure if we were doing the stream today.
Yeah.
Said, you know what, I'm here. Camera's set up, might as well do it. So I did post the link to our video stream. It's on our Facebook page and our Twitter. So click that. You can follow along on the show and look at our beautiful faces.
Yeah, there we
Wave
go.
at the
Right.
camera.
I think we got one viewer out there right now.
Yeah, it's me watching it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so you can be a part of the show that way. It'll be saved on our YouTube channel. You can go back and watch and listen to your favorite moments from inside the cave. Our hot takes, or, you know, me grilling Michigan State or Michigan, or being upset about the Lions. You can go back and say, like, man, he was so right, or he was so wrong.
Speaking about Michigan, we'll have John Borton from the Wolverine magazine on at about 8:25,
Yeah.
8:30 in that area.
It was best after that game, we'll call it, against Wisconsin.
It was a game.
Yeah, they sure did play the full game. They played the whole thing.
All right, where are we going from here? Ian?
You know, I think we got two real big topics, and we do have to do some picks today.
Yes.
In our lock of the weekend later in the show. But we have to talk Pistons, and this might be the first time we've genuinely talked about the Pistons because they're doing stuff. You know, they're making moves on draft day, something us media people just have dreams about. You know, like, gosh, what if they traded this guy and got this pick and made this move, and you know, they moved up and got this guy, or they got a second first-round pick. They did it. You know?
Well, you know, the reason we don't talk about the Pistons because the last several years, you know, they've finished in the bottom echelon of the National Basketball Association. They just, you know, they've had some good players come through, but, you know, they haven't put it all together.
Yeah, and, you know, working with their new GM, Troy Weaver, and Coach Casey, you have to figure they're in step here. You know, they're dancing the same song. They're not stepping on each other's feet. They're saying, okay, we really scouted these guys. We like them. Jelon Hayes, the number 7 pick, 6'5". You need a point guard. And, you know, it said here in our update, perhaps he's the new face of the Pistons franchise. And when you're the point guard, you kind of have to be that guy. You know, you talk about when the Pistons were really good and winning championships. Yeah, you talk about Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace,
Isaiah Thomas.
Well, yeah, going back a little to those days too. You know,
Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah. You think about those guys, but it really starts at the point guard position.
Yes, it does.
Our younger listeners or viewers think, oh, Chauncey Billups. You know, he facilitated the whole thing. If your point guard's bad, you won't be a good team, or you will really struggle. And hope this Hayes kid is everything that they wanted.
He's got to be. He's got to be a good kid.
He has to.
He's got a good last name.
That's right. Yeah. Congratulations on son. No, I don't want. I don't want to date you.
No.
You know, not your grandson.
Grandson.
Yeah.
Not quite old enough.
No. So now when he's in the lineup, Pat, you can get a jersey.
Yeah.
For Hayes.
Put Hayes on the back there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to Pistons.com and get my Hayes jersey.
I have a funny jersey story about Michigan State here in a second.
Okay.
So they get the 16th pick. That was.
But didn't they have to give away a first round pick?
Yeah, I think a future first rounder.
Yeah.
So they must have really wanted Isaiah Stewart, 5-star prospect, All-American, McDonald All-American from Washington. Need a center. I mean, you got Blake Griffin. He's got injury problems, let's face it. He's not getting any younger. You need a guy to come in off the bench or spot start.
Well, I thought when they got Blake, they were really going to turn things around. I mean, the Pistons really got a player, a baller, and it just didn't work. He didn't have, you know, the cast around him to help him.
Yeah, and, you know, that might be the last time Pistons fans were like, "Oh, we made a big splash move." You know, we didn't like walk in the pool from the ladder. We cannonballed into the deep end. It's cool. You know, it's risky, but it's fun, right?
Yeah, heck
You know, and that's probably the last time Detroit did that prior to last night, making those moves. So they trade Luke Kennard, and they got a 19 pick. I think that's around where they drafted him. I don't quite remember what stage in the draft they got Kennard. And they took wing a 6'8" Sadiq Bey from Villanova, first team all Big East, in a very good league, very good program in Villanova. And you know, what does that say about the development of Kennard? To have him for a couple years, but you did get a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like it was nothing. So maybe it was a scheme fit or a size issue, or they were just done with Kennard. I don't know.
Do you think the NBA teams were kind of at a, handicapped a little bit because, we didn't have the NCAA tournament last year. But, we did have the regular season. But
Yeah.
Does that give them enough time to really evaluate a player and how well they're going to fit in with their program?
It might. I mean, things you might learn from the tournament, how they perform when the lights are the brightest.
Well, I think what they learned from the tournament are the dark horses that come up and play for these teams that maybe weren't really suspected on doing any damage in the playoffs. And here this kid comes out of nowhere and, instantly becomes an NBA, third, fourth round pick.
Exactly. And something that's probably going to fly under the radar is the Pistons getting Trevor Ariza, solid forward. He can knock down threes. He's a vet. Spent some time with Portland and Sacramento last year. So it's going to be a new look Pistons. I mean, if you didn't know the guys before, you will not know them now. They're going to be young. And, if you're a Piston fan, well, how are you grading this draft? Now, there's several ways to reach out to the show. We'll read your comments.
Yeah.
If they're appropriate for the airwaves. Send us a message on Facebook, tweet at us, call us, 265-4000. There's unknowns, of course, when you're drafting kids.
This could be an exciting time if these kids work out the way they hope they're going to work out. This could mean, maybe a winning season. And
Yeah.
that would spark a lot of interest, I think, with a lot of people in the Metro Detroit area and around the state of Michigan.
That's right. And that's the only thing that could hold these players back is they get that nagging foot injury and he's out for months. Stunts his development, doesn't play, can't play, this, that, the other thing. All that aside, because I'm sure he had input, right now, this draft looks like an A+. It really does. To get 3 picks in the first round, just overhaul everything, get Ariza, get rid of Kennard, and say, look, that's the old Pistons. These are the new Pistons. And will it go through their point guard they drafted, Hayes? Pat? Pat Hayes?
Pat Hayes. Well, they didn't draft me, I can tell you that.
No, because you're here still. You're not signing contracts and making millions. But I'm going to say it's in the A range. I really do.
And I told you this off the air. I thought it was an A+, based on the fact of the last 3 or 4 years. They were kind of silent in the draft. They really didn't pick up, some big names, or they didn't trade up to get, some better first round picks. So I would say an A+, and thank goodness, because they needed it.
Yeah, they sure did.
They got Derrick Rose, we got Blake Griffin, Joe Johnson, Luke Kennard. Those guys aren't getting any younger.
No, and they ship off Kennard.
Kennard, yeah. Tony Snell, Jordan Bone, Thonmaker, Christian Wood. Those are some of the roster
returners. Yeah, and plug these guys in, and have Coach Casey coach them up, get them ready to play.
Yeah.
There's growing pains, of course. They're not going to step in and be awesome. It's the league. You're stepping into a game played by men.
Yeah, you don't instantly become a star in the NBA. It's,
Very rarely does that happen.
Yeah, very rarely. Yeah. Hey, we got about time for a break here.
All right, let's get to it. We have some thoughts on the tentative restart for high school sports, and we'll get to some picks and maybe talk a little more Maction for our CMU, WMU fans. Eastern played a game as well.
Yeah, hey, if you're a Western or a Chip, give us a call and give us your evaluation of both of those football programs. We'd love to hear it.
That's right, 517-265-4000.
All right, don't go away. We'll be right back. You're Inside the Cave this morning with Pat Hayes and Ian Wendt. 2 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and a run. Isn't that great? Love to
Just,
hear that.
that's super. That's great. It really is. And you know, a couple years ago we'd say, "Oh, where's the defense?" There's no defense in the MAC. We need this. We need touchdowns. We need them now.
Where are we getting all these great running backs and wide receivers in the MAC? I mean, they're just under.
Maybe they're looking at
incredible.
Michigan and Michigan State and going, "I don't want to play for that offense. Let's go to the MAC school.
Probably won't play.
Get things done." Yeah, probably won't play. So, that's our MACtion recap
Okay.
extravaganza for Thursday. That was a
All right.
lot of fun to watch.
It was.
And a good, you know, it throws off your game planning, you know, playing during the week sometimes, you know, and getting into the flow of things. But you're getting national television.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
that's
you're getting
great.
all the views you can get. You
Great
know, the
move
MAC
by
had
the
a
MAC,
great deal.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really came out on top in terms of that, and putting the conference on full display for the country. And
Great
it's really
marketing
great.
tool for the MAC. I mean, gee.
Do you want to score touchdowns and be
Yeah.
on TV? All right, go to Western, go to Central, go to Toledo. Good stuff for the MAC. And switching gears to
Okay.
high school, real
Yep.
quick before the break hits us here.
Wow, it's gone by quickly.
Well, when you're having fun, Pat,
I know.
that's what happens. So they announced the calendar for sports after a 3-week pause. So 11-player football, regional finals, that's for Clinton and St. Creek. Those are going to be the 15th and the 16th. 8-player semis for Lenawee Christian would be one of those days as well. And then the 11-player semis will be the 21st and 22nd. 8-player finals will be on those dates as well. The 8-player championship will be at Midland Community Stadium, and the 11-player championship will still be at Ford Field, the 28th and the 29th. For the Tecumseh swim and dive team, or the individuals, their finals will be on Tuesday the 22nd for diving and swimming on the 23rd. So assuming this is only a 3-week layoff for
I hope so.
high school sports, that's the lineup. You have to give credit to the MHSAA here, of course, just having a plan in place.
I think Mark
Like
Ewell's
right
doing
away.
a good job up
Yeah.
there. He's doing a great job under the conditions that he has to work with.
Right, and you know, you feel for the kids. You know,
Oh,
you really
gosh.
do. And
Yeah.
you know, there's been games postponed, canceled due to some virus outbreaks, and we knew that would happen. But for the majority of the kids and coaches and parents, they did their part.
Well, you know, I commend all the football teams who have had very little compared to the total number of games, very little COVID postponements or cancellations. We had a few, but
Right.
not like it was going to blow up on us, like every school was going to have a COVID case, but it didn't happen that way.
No, it didn't. And there were protocols put in place by the powers that be in Lansing, whether that be the governor early on or the Department of Health and Human Services later. And the players and teams stepped up, and it kind of hurt. You know, I'm seeing a lot of social media hurt. You know, like, really? We're doing this again? We're wearing masks to play football. We're doing all these things, and
Well, I think
we're
we
trying
know
to
a
be
lot
safe.
more. We know a lot more than we did back in April and March, and you know, we knew this was bad, but we know now that masks do make a difference, and I think it has helped. I think in certain ways, although we're back to the spike now. I think we've become complacent, and it's the way it is. It's spiking, and we want to get it down.
Yeah, and again, commending the high schoolers. They've been through a lot, you know. Talking just strictly sports, not political, not in your life, you know, just sports in general. Some of these kids had their winter season cut short in the playoffs, spring season canceled, and their fall season delayed, and now another 3-week delay. You know, you feel for them.
Absolutely.
For the purpose of playing a sport. I understand we're in a pandemic. There are health issues all over the place, in the state and in the nation. But in terms of the outlet that sports used to be prior to this year, it's been tough. It's been tough for the kids.
And I hope the vaccine comes out quickly and we can get that distributed and get it to the people who need it the most.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Put very well, Pat. And we're gonna play some cold football. I tell you that. Even if it's only a 3-week pause, we're playing some December football.
Unless you're playing at Ford Field.
Yeah, the team's an 11-player thinking, let's just get to Ford Field so we can play inside.
I've never been to Midland Community Stadium. That's where hopefully Lenawee Christian will be playing their final game of the season.
Oh, and I know there's really no time to break this down, Pat, but I saw him firsthand for the first time on Saturday.
Yes, that's right. You went up to the game.
Yep,
Yeah.
and we're right. We were right a month and a half ago, or whenever I said it, and you agreed, and we talked about it. They're the best team in 8-man football. I watched it. Not
You
only
saw it for
offensively,
yourself.
defensively, they shut down a good Morris team.
Morris was undefeated, and they put up some big numbers over the course of the year.
Yeah. Chesser, just outstanding football player. I believe he committed a couple days ago. I saw on Twitter. I think he made an announcement. So, football future for Chesser and the rest of the Cougars. Give credit to the defense. They don't get talked about nearly enough. They pitched the shutout and looked really good.
We got to get Bill Wilharms on here maybe before the start of football again.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Or have him on later and
Yeah.
send us a picture of the trophy.
All right. Hey, you're inside the cave. That's our first hour. Don't go away. We'll be back with hour number 2. We'll have John Borton on at 8:25 this morning. Pat Hayes and Ian Wendt, Inside the Cave.
AD 96.5 The Cave.
96.5 The Cave. Lenawee County Sports. Broadcasting live from the heart of Lenawee County, Michigan. This is Inside the Cave on 96.5 FM and 965theCave.com. Sports Talk Radio with a local angle, where we give opinions and analysis on what's happening in the world of sports, interview area coaches and players, and get you ready to start your day.
Good morning.
Now grab a flashlight, hiking boots, and a compass, because it's time to go inside the cave.
And welcome back to hour number 2 of Inside the Cave. Yours truly, Pat Hayes, along with Ian Wendt this morning, and we're talking sports. We love to talk with you. Give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. We'll have John Borton on with us at around 8:25 this morning. So we'll talk a little bit of Michigan football coming up this weekend. But hey, we got to get right at it here, and we've got to get going.
Now for an Inside the Cave sports update.
All right, here we go. MHSAA announced the calendar for sports after the 3-week pause during the pandemic. 11-man regional finals for Clinton and St. Creek, and the semifinals for 8-player for Lenawee Christian are scheduled for the 15th and 16th of December. 8-man championships at Midland Community Stadium, December 21st, 22nd. 8-player semis will be that time frame as well. For swimming and diving, Tecumseh, you have some qualifiers still competing. Finals would be conducted the 22nd for diving and the 23rd for swimming. Well, speaking of those Clinton Redskins, a last-second win over Blissfield Friday for a district title sends them to the regionals in a few weeks. We talked about that to Redskins coach Jeremy Fielder. Just how much more exciting can it get?
Especially considering the circumstances of having lost to them earlier in the year, and players working hard to kind of earn that opportunity, and then believing in game plan and what we had to do to win, and then seeing the kids execute in some pretty adverse situations at the end of the game. That was just so fantastic to see, and just so happy for those guys and for our coaches too.
We asked Coach what it was like on the sideline leading up to the kick by Jonathan Balke.
I don't know. I was just really more concerned about the clock management at that point. I know leading up to that, I saw him warming up, and then one of the coaches asked on the sideline, "He warmed up?" And I turned around and said, "You warmed?" And he had already been kicking. So I think he was just good to go. And, Jonathan worked so hard at his craft. Just so happy for him and the rest of our guys. He had a great opportunity, and he made good on it.
And before the interview was over, Coach Fielder with a big tip of the cap to Ron Estes and the Blissfield Royals.
I'd be remiss if I didn't show some respect to Blissfield. They've just been outstanding over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. And Coach Estes and his staff, they just do a phenomenal job. Dan McGinnon is such a competitor. I will not miss him at all. He's a great kid, and I love watching him, but not when he's on the opposite sideline. And Porky and Wyman, they're a phenomenal group. So I really just want to give credit to them too, because they're tough. And it's difficult to lose in those circumstances too. So definitely think about those guys as well.
Clinton will play the next round at Warren Collegiate, a team Coach says with speed all over the field. Adrian College announcing that the rematch game against Bowling Green is still on this Saturday at the Arrington, but with no fans allowed. Coach Adam Krug's team fell to BGSU a week ago 6-2, snapping a 15-game win streak for the Bulldog men's team.
I thought we had a good effort against them last week at their place, but not great. I thought there was a feeling out from our guys. It just kind of overtook us a little bit, and by the time we figured out we could play with them, it was too late. So I'm thrilled that we get a second shot at that program.
That's AC men's hockey coach Adam Krug. Switching back to football, the decision on if Michigan State will play at Maryland will come today. The Terrapins are 2-1. They've been dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak. They did not practice Wednesday. They'll make that call today. And the Pistons, their new GM, Troy Weaver, was very aggressive on the NBA draft. Pistons get 3 first-round selections in a flurry of trades, shaking up their roster. At number 7, they took 6'5" swingman Killian Hayes, no relation to Pat. 16th pick, the Pistons took a 6'9" center Isaiah Stewart. And the Pistons trading Luke Kennard to the Clippers for a number 19 pick. And then they would turn around and draft 6'8" Sadiq Bey for that pick. Now the Pistons also acquired Trevor Ariza, a solid forward who can knock down the three. And the Pistons, they've positioned themselves with a lot of money to spend in free agency as well. A local note with the draft, Xavier Tillman and Cassius Winston did get drafted lower than a lot of people thought.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, Tillman goes 35 to Memphis, and Cassius Winston in the second round goes to Washington with that pick. Tonight's Thursday night NFL matchup, it's a good one here on the Cave, Arizona and Seattle. Battle of 6 and 3 teams. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray looking like an MVP candidate. He spoke with the media ahead of his team's matchup with the Seahawks.
They have elite players. It's any given Sunday, Thursday, Monday, you can be beat. And for me, I just got to go out there. I have to play well in order for us to win. As an offense, we have to play well. We got to execute. Like I said, we got to play good complementary football. Otherwise, we can be beat.
And now we'll hear from Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson.
Yeah, we got to be clean against the blitz. I think we got to be really clean against. I think that's the key thing for us. Just in general, and when they do pressure, that's for any team. That's not just us. That's any team in the NFL. That's the number one rule. You got to be clean against the blitz. So we got to make sure that we do that this week. Obviously, they're great at it. They're tremendous at it. Their coach is unbelievable at the other pressure stuff, and they got a great defense. They got a lot of respect for them. So we got to be ready for that for sure.
That's going to be a tough game to pick.
Yeah, it sure is. That game is going to be here on the Cave for tonight's broadcast. It should be a fun one. And that's it for the update. We have a lot to get to before John Borden, and we talk Michigan football. We have some picks to do. We have a lock of the weekend. I mean, a lot of stuff to break down for you. A quick note, Christian McCaffrey is not expected to play Sunday against the Lions.
Yeah,
So that could affect our pick.
He got banged up there a little bit.
Yeah, he sure did. So here we go. We need to dive right into picks.
Let's go
We're
to
running
picks.
out of time. We will go NFL and then college. I'm picking a couple that are impactful or they involve a Detroit team because, we have to almost. So let's see here. Let's go Arizona, Seattle. That game tonight, it's got to be close to a pick'em for the betting purposes, but Seattle's slipping a little bit. Arizona trending up. Where are you going to go, Pat?
Boy, I tell you, I looked at this game last night. I did some little background on it, and I know the Seahawks are picked by 3, but I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals.
You think they're the real deal?
Well, the way they played the last couple of weeks, they've burnt me a couple of times this year, and I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
I'll start contrarian, not just because being contrarian. I still think Seattle's a quality football team. I don't know if Russ can play this non-elite for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. I think he flips a switch, lights are brightest, and I think Seattle gets the win. Now let's go to 2 teams that lost last week and need a bounce back. Titans and Ravens.
Yeah, I was really surprised about the Ravens last week. I picked them. That's one of my 4 losses, I believe I had. But the Titans, they've surprised me.
In a bad way or a good way?
Well, both.
Yeah.
When I pick them, they lose. When I don't pick them, they win. But I'm still got faith in John Harbaugh. I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Wow. I mean, this game, we have some awesome matchups
We
in
do.
college and pro.
A lot of
And this is
flip
one
the
of them.
coin.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's going to bounce back? Titans got humiliated by the Colts, and the Ravens played in a monsoon against Bill Belichick. Hard to win those.
I
in New
just
England.
can't believe they lost to Belichick.
Yeah, and Lamar wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. He helped me get a fantasy football win, at least. I'm not going to pick my division rival here. I think Tennessee's going to bounce back and get the win right there. So, Green Bay and Indianapolis. A sneaky good game. I think the Colts have a very good defense. Packers have a very good offense.
Colts showed me a lot when they played the Lions a couple of weeks ago. They certainly handed it to the Lions. The Colts are 2-point favorites in this one. But again, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers.
Yep, don't be stupid, all of you out there picking. They really want you to jump on the Colts bandwagon. Number 12 is still there.
Yes,
for Green
he is.
Bay.
Yes.
Right?
The last time
He's
I
not on
checked.
the injury report.
Yeah.
He will play. He's hearing all the hate.
Although,
he hears it all the time.
Philip Rivers he's been playing out of his mind here the last.
Yeah,
couple weeks.
that's done. I
That's
think he
done.
might have one of those games. But I could be wrong. Like I said, one of those games, it could be a toss-up. But go Green Bay. I think Packers are going to
Yep, I think so.
score plenty on the Colts defense. And if they don't, next week the question will be about the Packers offense. And why'd they draft Jordan Love? We'll talk about that again.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay Bucks. That's the Monday night game. Two teams that a lot of people have ranked in their top 10 for the NFL.
Rams have been really disappointing for me this year. I thought they were going to be right at the top. Although they do have a good record, 6-3. Tampa Bay, of course, with Tom Brady, always exciting. But I think Tom Brady has the upper hand over Jared Goff this week. It's going to be Tampa Bay.
The story of the game is going to be the Buccaneers offensive line against Aaron Donald. A lot of people say he's the best in football. You can make that argument up or down. Is it a quarterback the best, Aaron Donald, or a running back? He is one of the best. He is the best player on that defense for the Rams. He can make Brady's life tough if he handles the Tampa offensive line. This game could go down to the last possession, and
Probably will.
And I think Tampa Bay will have it, and I think they get a really close win.
And
But-
I think
yeah.
it's advantageous that they are at home also.
Yeah, that helps. Last NFL pick, because we have to. Detroit,
Oh, jeez.
Carolina. Are the
Okay.
Lions favored? They should be by
There's
2.
no line on it.
Okay.
No line right now.
No Christian McCaffrey, it looks like, for Carolina.
Doesn't make any difference. Carolina over the Lions.
Wow.
Matthew
Any
Stafford.
quick,
Matthew Stafford in that thumb. I'm a little worried about that. He didn't break it, but he damaged it.
I talked about it a little bit yesterday. That was a bad win for the Lions against Washington. They should have lost that game.
Yeah.
They should have lost that game.
Won it on a field goal with no time remaining.
59-yarder.
Yeah.
Kudos to Matt Prater.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, hit some clutch kicks. You're right, Pat. I don't know how you can confidently pick this Lions team right now. Credit to Stafford on that drive in particular. That second half offense, bad.
I think Teddy Bridgewater has a big day against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. Now, the only way the Lions can win is if they get it in a shootout, is if the offense just clicks and goes. I don't see it. Pat, I think I'm going to pick Carolina with you.
All right.
Just based on that Washington almost collapse by the Lions. It was just weird to watch. And
You saw it coming.
you did. They were up 14 points, and someone texted our group, and they were like, yeah, Washington has them right where they want them.
Yeah, exactly.
Down by 14. So those are our
Exactly.
picks for the NFL. To college. We got 4 of them here. We'll pick the good games first. Indiana, Ohio State. Ohio State is not invincible, and Indiana's might be the hottest team in college football.
Is Indiana for real? That is the question. They're not real. It's a mirage. The Buckeyes are picked by 20. In this
Are they really?
They
That's
are
the
picked-
line?
That's the line.
Wow.
20 points. Over under 66.5.
Wow. I didn't realize that was the line for the game.
Yep.
Indiana's ranked number 9 in the country, aren't they?
That's a mirage.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
Well, here's the deal. They played 2 crap teams
Yeah.
back-to-back weeks, Michigan State.
Hey.
You know, how do you measure them up to that? Ohio State showed, like, signs of weakness against a Rutgers team that scored points. Maybe that's why the over-under is so high. I don't think Indiana's a fraud. I think it's still Ohio State next teams. I think it's Ohio State, Wisconsin, Indiana, and then the rest.
But
I
is
will
the-
pick Buckeyes here.
But is Indiana the second best team in the Big Ten?
This year, you can argue it.
I don't
You can
think
argue
so.
Wisconsin and Indiana as the number 2 team.
Yeah, Northwestern might be up there a
Oh,
little
you
bit.
talk about a mirage, Pat. That's actually the next one we're picking is Northwestern and Wisconsin. This could be for the Big Ten West championship. It
could be.
essentially is.
It could be.
Both undefeated. Badgers, yeah. Badgers beat the Wolverines, and Northwestern beat someone. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Who's winning this one, Pat?
Well, Wisconsin is a 7.5 point favorite. And yeah, I would agree with you. Northwestern probably won't have a chance against the Badgers.
Yeah, got Wisconsin all the way. They might even cover that. All right, 2 teams again. We're going to pick them because we cover them. Michigan State, tentatively going to Maryland to play the Terps.
Wow, the Terps have turned things around. They had some quality wins so far in their program. And just trying to find them. I don't think I have it on my screen here, but
Well, I do know they beat Penn State
yeah. Well, that's not saying much.
this year. No,
They're 0-4.
right.
So
I-
Michigan,
if they play,
Michigan State,
if they play,
Maryland.
there's a quarterback battle in Michigan State. According to Coach Tucker, it might not be Rocky. It might be Thorne for this game if they play it against Maryland. If you are Michigan State, you hope you don't play it. If you're Maryland, you hope you do, because the Terps are going to, I don't know, what does a terrapin do? Aren't they like a turtle?
Yeah,
What do turtles do?
they
Snap?
move real slowly.
Yeah, they're gonna do that. They're gonna win, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, the Terps are 6.5 point favorites over Michigan State, and I will go with Maryland.
Yeah, you know,
I'll
if
be
you're,
with you.
if you're Sparty,
Yeah.
please score like 2 touchdowns maybe, or score twice in the game, please. Get shut out last week and score 7 against Iowa. All right, last one we're going to pick, and then we'll do our lock of the weekend. Michigan goes to Rutgers. Everyone said it. They beat Rutgers by 78 points last time. Last I heard, they're 8-point favorite over Rutgers.
This is not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. Michigan is going to have to play their best game of the year.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
is not saying
What a
much.
sentence. What a sentence, Pat. Can you believe you uttered that on the air? I can't believe it.
I'm going to go with
Oh.
Michigan. They're favored, you said, by
I mean,
8.
do you think they cover that? Right? I mean, we're at this point.
Let's don't go too far here.
Okay. Oh, boy. I mean, Rutgers is not a doormat this year.
No, they're not.
It looks like Michigan State televise it. Please, no.
It's not going to be on the national network. I can tell
No,
you, it's going to be on BTN.
Yeah. I don't know anyone that's picking Rutgers. Michigan's going to win this game. Don't be stupid. Michigan has better players than Rutgers. Doesn't matter how you feel about Harbaugh and Joe Milton and
Well,
if it is Joe.
Dwumfor is now playing for Rutgers. He was a Michigan player last year.
Yeah,
Lineman. He has done pretty well in defensive line.
Rutgers might have some fun. They might score first type of thing. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to beat Michigan. No.
No?
I think Michigan might even cover that pretty easily. So those are the picks. And Pat, it's time for the lock of the weekend.
That's right. This lock of the weekend is being brought to you by Adrian Locksmith. Let's be honest, you couldn't pick your nose if it wasn't attached to your face. So I can imagine any.
Can't imagine you're not any good. Did I
can't
do a
imagine
typo on that read?
you're any good at picking football games. So
I'm not any good at typing up copy.
We're going to help you out with the help of Adrian Locksmith. They've been serving Lenawee County and the surrounding areas for over, I'm not sure how many years that is, but Adrian Locksmith is located at the corner of North Main and Maple, right here in Adrian.
Boy, that guy who wrote that copy stinks at writing copy, huh?
Well, it's you've got to
I think
spread
it's
out too
20.
far.
I think it's 20.
20, I'm sure it is. They do a great job over
Oh, they
there.
sure do.
And Nick is super. All right, we'll be
Yeah.
back with our lock of the week after this.
Hi, this is Nick. Do you want to check or change the security on your home or business?
I
If
probably
it
could
involves
have
locks,
done
keys,
this.
or any kind of video surveillance,
made it full
think
screen.
Adrian
There
Locksmith.
we go.
Yeah, it's
Renter
got it
or
there.
employee
20 years,
change.
yep.
Save both your time and your money having us rekey your entries. We also offer video surveillance products, along with safe.
All right, you putting it on me to pick it? Because I'll pick it.
You'll pick it.
My lock of the weekend is. Can I get a drum roll, Pat? Oh, we have a button for that too.
Do we?
Yeah, I don't want to hurt your knuckles on the table.
No.
You don't?
No.
Here's my lock of the weekend. It is going to be. I'm not going to go easy here and say Michigan State's going to lose. We have plenty more games to lose there. I think Green Bay over Indianapolis is the lock.
Okay.
I think it's a lot closer spread than it, or yeah, it's too close of a spread. Packers way better offensively. They get the win over the Colts.
All right, that's our lock of the week here on 96.5 The Cave. Our lock of the week brought to you by Adrian Locksmith. Security is their business. Adrian Locksmith is at 402 North Main Street in Adrian. Call them at 517-263-1415 or check them out on Facebook. And they have been around for 20 years.
Real big hits, really big plays. We're talking about it. 96.5, The Cave.
Experience the difference. Three-dimensional physical therapy
I'm gonna
takes
cut out that
individualized
promo.
treatments to advanced levels through the lens of applied functional science. This unique approach utilizes the physical, biological,
right, you're back inside the cave this morning with yours truly, Pat Hayes and Ian Wendt. And on the other end of our line this morning, we have from the Wolverine magazine, John Borton, talking about Michigan football. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Pat. Good to be with you.
Well, talking a little bit more about Michigan football here, we saw a lot more of what we've seen the last couple of games with Michigan, and pretty much being manhandled by the Wisconsin Badgers. And I guess your comments about last week's game.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have a much bigger disaster at home. You're coming off 2 losses. You're trying to make an impressive showing against Wisconsin, and the first 2 times you throw the football, it ends up in the wrong jersey's arms, and those turn into touchdowns. Michigan just absolutely came out and laid an egg against Wisconsin. Wisconsin was overpowering in its defense, its ability to run the ball more and more as the game wore on. And it was just a lost night for the Wolverines. And one of those types of situations that really underscored the issues that Michigan has right now, to the extent that Jim Harbaugh after the game said, look, there was nothing here that was adequate. It was the coaching, the playing, the execution, all of it. We need to go back and look at everything right now that we're doing and get this thing worked out, get it to a higher level, because this was just an absolutely unmitigated disaster for the Wolverines, who were really never in the ballgame. You're down 28-0 at halftime, and you might as well have packed it in and gone back to Madison right then, because you had one in your pocket.
Well, Harbaugh did say after the ball game too that we got to go back to basics. Basics. He talked about that several times, and you would have thought that he would have known that this team was going to be playing the way they are playing early on in their camp. I don't know. He must have. The practices must have been a lot better than what they're showing on the football field so far this season, because they have just not been able to do anything as far as the offense is concerned. Defense has been suspect. Back to basics, and that's really hard to hear from a Michigan coach.
There's no question about it. I mean, that's you're really letting down and doing everything wrong if you're talking about back to basics. Really, at the midway point of your regular season. And I think it was more than just training camp, though, Pat, because you had the fool's gold out there in Minnesota in the first game of the season. Everything looked to be clicking. You're breaking off long runs, and Joe Milton is connecting on passes, and everything is looking good. Well, another terrible team, Michigan State, in the second game, and the Spartans found something to expose. That was Michigan's cornerback. Max protect and throw it downfield, and they opened the door for a whole lot else. Now Wisconsin didn't even have to go that route, because they could pick and choose when they threw, because they were able to run the ball effectively, and plus they got 2 quick turnover touchdowns to stake themselves to a lead. But yeah, if you're talking about back to basics at this point in the year, you're really talking. I mean, if I could put my own translation on it, I would say, okay, this is an extended spring training camp for the 21 season.
Yeah, good morning, John. First off, and we'll be talking basics in year 6 in the program. That's got another tone to it. But watching or just checking the scores for both in-state Big Ten programs, I got one question. It's show me something. You can lose these games, but show me something you can do well that you can work on. And the only thing maybe between the 2 games was Michigan State's second half defense. I mean, is there anything that diehard Michigan fans can say, well, here's something?
Well, I think yes, in that they could show flashes, but it always gets back to, okay, what about when you're playing a real team? At Minnesota, we saw them break off the long run. At Indiana, we saw Joe Milton throw the ball pretty well, including a perfectly spot-on post pass for a touchdown, until he started pressing late through a couple of interceptions. You really haven't seen much at all from the defense this year. And I should mention, people will say, well, that's an excuse, but in this situation, it's a reason. This is a team that has been hit with just a flood of injuries. After the opt-outs early on, we talked about that, by Nico Collins and Ambry Thomas. You lose your top receiver, you lose your top defensive back, at least cornerback, and then you lose both your offensive tackles early in the season, scrambles the entire offensive line, which was new anyway. You lose both defensive ends. Those are the kind of things that, if you are a little bit shaky anyway, can really send a team into chaos, and Michigan is in chaos right now. So I think you've seen little flashes of things that you can hang on to, but you certainly haven't seen a game since that opener where you could say, wow, we're doing this well or doing that well. I think this weekend against Rutgers presents a possibility for it, but Rutgers is no easy touch at this point. And when they went down to Ohio State and really hung in there well, they beat Penn State. Of course, everybody's beating Penn State, kind of like everybody's beating Michigan right now. But I think you're going to have a real challenge on your hands, and you're going to have to take those flashes that I was talking about and turn them into something much more substantial.
Now, something I asked you a couple weekends ago, or a couple weeks ago, after the Michigan State loss, and it's been a couple weekends since then, is this debacle against Wisconsin at home? Now, is this the worst loss in the Harbaugh era? I mean, you're talking about historic deficits at halftime at home. I mean, Michigan fans can think it but not admit it, but, you're watching this program up close. Or are you still going back to Ohio State?
Well, those blowouts at Ohio State, but that's a good team, and Wisconsin's a good team.
Right.
Let's face it. So when it's a good team and your team is beat up and not playing well, I don't think as much of it. I'm not even sure if Wisconsin was the worst loss of the season, because losing to Michigan State this year in a rivalry game, and as truly bad as Michigan State is.
Correct.
And Michigan State fans will say, "Well, we beat you."
Yep. Yeah, I'll agree 100% with that, John.
And that's true.
Yep.
But what you've got is Michigan and Michigan State being two of the very worst teams in the Big Ten. And who would have ever thought that you'd have a year where that would be true for both of them? I mean, in the last several years, Mark D'Antonio churned out some really good Michigan State teams. Michigan has historically, for decades, been one of the strengths of the Big Ten. And now, I mean, this year, they're both terrible, and you just don't lose to Michigan State this year. Ask Iowa. They rolled over them. Ask Rutgers, which is a historically bad team, or program, at least recently, and they knocked off Michigan State. So, yeah, if you give me before the season, okay, you're going to lose to Michigan State or you're going to lose to Wisconsin, I'll say, I don't care what the score is. A loss to Wisconsin's a better loss than a loss to Michigan State.
True. And a quick question for you. You can skip it, and we'll talk next. Plays were very suspect.
Well, there's no doubt that there's a quarterback battle, and I think if you're going to be truthful and legitimate and believable with your words about, it's an open competition at every position all the time, you have to do that, because you got Cade McNamara coming off the bench at one point and getting them into the end zone, covering 77 yards in 4 plays, throwing the ball beautifully, and Milton continues to struggle at times. Certainly the first interception he threw was not his fault. I mean, he hit the receiver, the Michigan tight end, right in upper chest face mask area, and the catch not made, ball pops up, becomes an interception. But the second one, I think someone put it well when they said he threw it to a ghost. There was nobody there in a Michigan uniform, throws it right to the Badgers linebacker, and all of a sudden you're down 14-0. I think that Joe Milton still has great potential as a quarterback, but you were in a season and you've got two quarterbacks who, by all accounts, performed pretty well in the preseason. John Jansen, who the former Michigan All-American, who now does a lot of radio work and also works with the athletic department, told me before the season, watch out for Cade McNamara. He quietly, behind the scenes, is playing very well and impressing some people. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if you at least saw, maybe gets a quarter, maybe gets a little more extended time. I wouldn't be stunned if he started the football game. I think Joe Milton probably will get the start, but I think all bets are off at all positions right now, including behind center.
Got sort of a lighter side question for you, John. John Borton from Wolverine Magazine on the show today. Just to get a break from some not great football, did you catch the action last night? Western and Central actually scoring points. Was that a nice reprieve?
I did not. Somebody called me up and said, I wish we had. I wish Michigan had Western Michigan's offensive line.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was some game. Hey, we got to take a break here. You're inside the K. We have John Borton on the line this morning from the Wolverine Magazine, and we'll be right back, maybe to talk about the next game coming up, Rutgers. So don't go away. You're inside the Cave this morning. Pat Hayes, Ian Wendt, and John Borton.
High school sports. Nobody covers it better in Lenawee than 96.5 The Cave.
Our regular Thursday guest, John Borton from the Wolverine magazine. And John, let's shift our focus now to the upcoming game here with Rutgers. Both teams coming in with 1-3 records. And I hate to say this, but this is not a gimme.
No, you are absolutely correct, Pat. And I would say right up front that Rutgers is not only at home, which that doesn't mean as much this year with almost no fans. But I think Rutgers 1-3 is more impressive than Michigan's 1-3 because Rutgers obviously took care of Michigan State, which Michigan did not. Rutgers had a very decent showing against Ohio State, hung with them for quite a while, and of course knocked off Penn State, which itself has all kinds of problems this year, but is a historically strong team, and they have talent. I think that Michigan will really have a chance in this game.
Yeah, and it's been of course, the record speaks for itself, but how much of this is a must-win game? I mean, I think Michigan will win, but we've said that a couple weeks in the season, and they haven't. Is this must-win territory for U of M?
I mean, I don't know what must-win really is in a season that is weird and shortened and kind of been strange anyway. It's clearly a season that Michigan's not going to win the Big Ten. It's clearly a season where they are injury-ridden and troubled, and if you're talking about a must-win in terms of regaining some confidence and maybe quieting all the buzz about Michigan's coaching staff and things like that, in that sense, yeah, maybe it is a must-win. But must-win for Michigan used to be, okay, this clinches the Big Ten champ, top 5 in the rankings. In this sense, in the modern look and recently, no, I mean, say, the old playing Wisconsin in basketball you're throwing in there, and they might be throwing a June last 14 years that he hasn't been with us.
Wow, that's great. Hey, if you want to subscribe to the Wolverine magazine, that's very easy, right, John?
Absolutely. Just dial up, take this number down, call 800-421-77 today on thewolverine.com.
Will be Thanksgiving. You're going to be around MVP of the NFL so far this season.
Yeah, certainly in the conversation he was a bit, but we're still talking about him, and should be a great one. You can catch that game here on 96.5 The Cave. Don't forget to check out our live stream of this show, a new thing we're starting to implement. It's on our YouTube channel, Lenawee Broadcasting Company. The link has been shared on our Facebook and Twitter over at 965 The Cave.
All right. Hey, it's been a great morning. Thank everybody for listening in, and especially those on YouTube this morning. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, cool. Now we're like TV celebrities.
There we go.
Internet TV celebrities. And good show, Pat. Good draft by the Pistons. We'll see how that pans out, but I think we give them an A. Right?
I would say
in A territory.
A+ for me, I tell you, because we really haven't heard much from the Pistons in the last several years as far as making some big news as far as the draft is concerned.
Exactly, and we hope the numbers for COVID trend in the right direction, and we can get some high school sports finished up for the fall season.
All right, that is going to wrap. It's going to wrap it up here this morning from Inside the Cave and Instagram. And have yourselves a great Thursday. I'll see you back here next week.